Watchers, welcome to Perth Watch, your horology channel broadcasting from right here in Perth, Western Australia. Today I have the second piece from Mass Watches, Matthew and Son Watches, based right here in Australia. I reviewed their first watch, the Diver, the Irukandji, some time ago, and I thought that was actually a very interesting piece. Certainly a lot of interesting design elements, and therefore I look forward to receiving this prototype of their next model, which is more of a field style watch. It comes in typical packaging. It's a black box with a watch roll inside. So guys, without further ado, let's flip the camera around and take a closer look at what's in here. Alright guys, so here we have it on the table. This is the outer box, which is kind of spinnable, at least a 3 out of 5, but that's kind of cheating, isn't it? We really need to look at this watch roll, which is actually not too bad as well, probably also a 3 out of 5. It's a standard watch roll that this company has sent before, which is not bad. It's at least quite practical. I kept the links that I removed in there. So, let's just open this up and show you the watch in closer detail here. So, guys, this is Mass Watches Arcticus in coal black, although not very, very black. It's almost like a very dark gray, I suppose. So this is the Arcticus Automatic. It is going to go for approximately $360 early bird price on Kickstarter, $360. It may go up to closer to $400 later on, depending on which stage of the Kickstarter. It is planning to launch in May, so this is definitely quite an early review that I'm doing of this prototype. Alright guys, so first up, let's talk about the movement, which is pleasingly not the 9015 Miyota, but the 9039 9000 series. In this case, no date, right, which is good because this is a no date watch, and a lot of people don't like a ghost position, and they've gone for the 9039. So good on them for making that particular move. All the stats over on the left of screen there, I think you guys will know a lot of this already. I'm not going to read it out. Rated accuracy, as you see, in this case, it's running about plus 10 seconds per day, which is not bad, keep in mind this is just a prototype that's being sent around to reviewers. Okay, let's talk about the case now. The case is 40 millimeter diameter 316L steel. Okay, 11 millimeters in thickness, 20 millimeter lug width, and the lug distance of 46.8 millimeters, which is fairly modest. It's not too ridiculous. It's actually in the modest range there, I would say. The overall weight on steel bracelet with a few links removed is 149 grams on this watch. Finishing wise, as you've seen me pan this around, the case is actually 100% brush. It's fully brush, longitudinal on the top, longitudinal on the sides. It's got circular brushing on the undersurface of the lugs there. On the production, they are likely going to do a polished bevel. Not 100% sure yet, but I would certainly like to see a polished bevel to add some degree of reflectiveness, a little bit of polish on this case here. The case back does have some polish facet on the side here. Otherwise, is a screw down solid case back, and that is a stamp of a death adder, a snake. That's what that actually shows. Sign crown, which is screw down. In this case, it's rated at 150 meters water resistant rating. Okay, moving on to the dial now. The dial here is a matte black with printed details, right? Mass and all that, and the printed detail of the chapter ring around the periphery. But apart from the outline of the lume, which is printed, the lume is actually a sandwich style here, right? Which is nice. I like that they've gone for a sandwich style on this ostensibly field watch style design watch here. The hands are brushed baton and obelisk hands, right? Obelisk style for the minute hand, I want to say. And it's got a simple stick, which is orange in color for the seconds, which adds a bit of a splash of color along with the Arcticus on the dial itself there. I don't mind a splash of color. In fact, I think it's almost required or mandatory in in a watch that's otherwise black and white like this. That's how I feel about it. The lume is blue in color. I'm not sure whether it's BGW9. He hasn't told me, but I'm sure the Kickstarter will confirm this. It's not the brightest on this prototype, but I believe on the Kickstarter, the production version, they will make this higher application. And I'll share a lume shot right here, of course, to let you see how it looks like in the dark. Okay, on top of the dial, flat sapphire crystal with internal anti-reflective coating is what we're dealing with here. Moving on to the bracelet then. Alright, so fully brushed, right? Even the sides are brushed, the top is completely brushed. This is an oyster style bracelet with solid end links and pleasingly a female end link, so it drapes nicely down onto the wrist. You know, I really like that they've chosen to do that. Always prefer that rather than male end links, I have to say. Push pin adjustment. Okay, hopefully I can show you that. Right, just push pins, no screws on this one, but they are looking at upgrading to screws for production, which would be something that lifts this watch. I think it does taper from 20 to 18 millimeters here. Push button style, you know, release clasps, right? Press metal clasps, I want to say. 6-point micro adjustment, which is nice. I always like a bit more micro adjustment rather than less. It's got fairly solid arms in terms of the deployment clasps here. Okay, that's the entire description, guys. So let's just pop it on the wrist for a wrist shot for you guys now. So there we go, guys. The MacWatch's Arcticus automatic field style watch on my 17 centimeter wrist, so 40 millimeter diameter, just under 47 millimeter lug-to-lug distance, 11 millimeters thickness, if you remember that. And that's how it looks like, that oyster style on my 17 centimeter wrist. Okay. Alright guys, what have I enjoyed about this? Well look, I think it's an interesting and original take on the field watch, right? The field watch style, particularly with that dial with the sandwich lume. That's not something I see a lot of in micro brands, so good on them for making something interesting and different, you know, kind of that stencil outline that you can see for the 369, you know, like I guess Panerai-ish, although Panerai do it in a different way. I like the stencil look of those numerals there. So that's definitely different. It's got a good solid high beat Miyota 9000, and I'm glad they went for 9039 with no date in a watch that doesn't have a date, so you know, no ghost position. Always appreciate that a brand goes to do that. What are, I guess, my concerns, you know, maybe the weaknesses? I think outside of that dial, I think the rest of this is fairly generic. You know, there's nothing you haven't seen before. I want to say also that it's got push, holes here. It's got, I guess, a screwed lugs here, which is really nice. Good that they've done the screw lugs. But overall, it's almost like you've seen this case before, you've seen this bezel before, you've seen this bracelet before, and the clasps. It's going to be very expensive to do anything original, so I understand why that might need to happen, and I do still appreciate that they've gone and done that dials, which is really the best part of the watch, in my opinion. Okay, guys, so you know, certainly let me know what you think about all this. You know, apart from the dial, the rest of it does feel very familiar otherwise. All right, that's my thoughts, guys, on this particular watch. Let's flip the camera around now for the wrap-up. So there you go, guys, my review of the prototype of MacWatch's next production model, which is the Arcticus field style watch. Let me know what you think of this. You know, I really do think that there is a lot of interest in the dial. I like the design and the thought that has gone into that. But overall, I think it's a little bit more generic than their previous model, their first model, which is the Irukandji Diver. I think that one had certainly more unique elements to it. But, you know, would be interested to know what you think about this design. Is this a watch, you know, that is going to take them on to the next step of success? I certainly wish them all success in the Kickstarter that is going to launch in May. And I look forward to seeing what, you know, Matt and Sons come up with in the future. Guys, if you enjoyed my videos, do consider subscribing. New content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys again next time.